Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're heading down under to Australia to tackle one of its most baffling mysteries.
Ooh, sounds intriguing already.
It is. We're talking about the Tully Saucer Nest.
The Tully Saucer Nest.
You got it. Picture this. 1966, Queensland. A farmer finds this perfectly circular formation of flattened reeds right in the middle of a swamp.
Okay, I'm picturing it. But swamps, reeds, what's so mysterious about that?
Well, here's where things get interesting. The farmer claimed he saw a saucer-shaped object rise from that exact spot.
Whoa, wait, are we talking aliens here?
Well, that's what we're here to find out. We've got excerpts from a text titled Exploring the Tully Saucer Nest, What Really Happened in 1966.
Yeah.
And we're going to unpack this whole thing, get to the bottom of it.
All right, let's dive in. Where do we even begin with something like this?
Let's start with the discovery itself. Our source tells us this farmer, George Pedley, stumbles upon this flattened reed circle in '66. And like I said, he claims to have seen a saucer-shaped object taking off.
A saucer-shaped object, you say? That's pretty specific. Did anyone else corroborate his story?
That's a good question. And yes, our source mentions that others reported seeing strange lights and hearing unusual sounds around the same time.
Interesting. So we've got a visual sighting, other unexplained phenomena happening at the same time. This is starting to sound like a classic UFO case.
It does, doesn't it? You've got this incredible claim, an unexplained phenomenon. You'd think the scientific community would be all over it.
Yeah, you would think. And you know what? They were. Our source details years and years of investigations. Scientists, UFO enthusiasts, everyone wanted to figure out what happened at the Tully Saucer Nest. The thing is,
That's that.
decades later, there's still no definitive explanation.
That's both frustrating and incredibly fascinating. It just shows how much of a mystery this whole thing is. Now, I know the alien theory is probably the first thing that pops into everyone's mind, but before we go down that rabbit hole, what are some of the other possible explanations our source gives for the Tully Saucer Nest?
Well, some researchers believe the culprit could be extreme weather.
Extreme weather. How so?
Think about it. A powerful tornado, a cyclone, something with enough force to flatten those reeds into that perfect circle.
I can see how a powerful weather event could leave behind that kind of a mark. Are there any other natural explanations that have been considered?
Another possibility the source explores is animal behavior.
Animal behavior. Okay, I'm curious. What kind of animal behavior are we talking about here?
Imagine a local species whose nesting or feeding habits could, flatten vegetation.
So, like a massive gathering of animals, all clustered in a circle, enough to flatten those reeds and create the Tully Saucer Nest.
Exactly. It might not be as exciting as aliens, but it's a possibility.
That's true. We often forget just how powerful and strange nature can be. Are there any other natural explanations that researchers have considered?
Our source also mentions some geological factors like subsidence or erosion.
Subside-
Like the ground sinking. Or erosion, where the soil gradually wears away. These things can change the landscape, sometimes in pretty dramatic ways.
So the Tully Saucer Nest could be a result of the Earth itself, shifting and changing over time. That's a pretty wild thought, even without the alien factor.
It is. It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it?
Speaking of perspective, let's think about the people who live in Tully. This all happened in their town. It must have had a huge impact on their lives.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the science and the mystery, but we can't forget about the people who call Tully home.
What does our source say about how the Tully Saucer Nest has affected the community?
Well, it's complicated. The Tully Saucer Nest basically put this little town on the map. Tourists started flocking to see the site, all because of this unexplained event. Imagine that. Your quiet farming town suddenly becomes famous for a potential alien landing.
Talk about a shakeup. But it wasn't all positive, was it? Our source mentioned some mixed feelings among the residents.
Yeah, not everyone was thrilled with all the attention. Some felt like the focus on the Tully Saucer Nest kind of overshadowed everything else about their town.
I could understand that. It's like their town's entire identity became wrapped up in this one event.
Exactly. And then there's the feeling of intrusion some residents felt. They had researchers, UFO enthusiasts, and media descending on their town, all wanting a piece of the Tully Saucer Nest.
So while some folks probably welcomed the attention and the potential tourism boost, others felt like their town was being taken over by the mystery.
It really highlights how these unexplained events can have a complex and multifaceted impact on a community.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder that there are always real people behind these mysteries, people whose lives are directly affected by these events. But for now, I think it's time for us to take a quick breather. We'll be back soon to delve into how the Tully Saucer Nest is remembered and viewed today, decades after it first occurred. Stay tuned. And we're back. Before the break, we were discussing how the Tully Saucer Nest had this, well, kind of complicated impact on the local community.
It really did. I mean, imagine living in Tully back then. You're going about your daily life, and suddenly your town is famous for a possible alien landing.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And like we were saying, it brought a lot of attention to Tully, a lot of tourists.
Tons of them. Our source talks about souvenir shops popping up everywhere, tour guides spinning all sorts of tales. Researchers came pouring in from all corners of the globe.
Yeah, it sounds like a whirlwind, a quiet farming town transformed into a bit of a UFO hotspot. But we were also talking about how not everyone was happy about it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Some residents felt like, with all the focus on the saucer nest, everything else about their town, the things that made it special, kind of got lost in the shuffle.
I can see that. It's like their town's story became all about this one event and nothing else mattered.
Right. And some residents felt like they were, well, constantly being invaded. Researchers, UFO enthusiasts, media, they were all over the place, all wanting to get in on the Tully Saucer Nest action.
So it was like a double-edged sword. On one hand, there's the potential for economic growth, tourism, all that. But on the other hand, some people felt like their town was being taken over by this mystery.
Exactly. It shows how these unexplained events can have all sorts of ripple effects on a community, some good, some not so good. But at the end of the day, we still haven't answered the big question: what really caused the Tully Saucer Nest?
Right. That's what we're all here for, isn't it? We've got this perfectly circular formation, a farmer claiming to have seen a UFO, decades of research, and still no definitive answer.
Nope, it's still a mystery. But we have some theories, right?
We do. We
Yeah.
do. And I think the most popular one, the one that everyone jumps to first, is the alien theory. Aliens landed, created the saucer nest, maybe did some other weird stuff, and then took off. It's like something straight out of a movie.
Right. Our source even points out how the shape of the formation, the perfect circle, could be a sign of extraterrestrial technology.
It's definitely food for thought. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Our source also mentions some more, well, shall we say, down-to-earth explanations.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the big ones is severe weather. Remember we were talking about cyclones earlier? Well, imagine a massive cyclone tearing through this area, the wind so strong that it just flattens those reeds into this perfect circle. It's not impossible.
No, it's not.
Wow.
Nature can be pretty powerful. What other natural explanations are there?
Well, there's animal behavior. Now, I know it might sound a bit strange, but what if there's some kind of animal in that area whose, nesting or feeding habits involve creating circular clearings?
Okay, I can see where you're going with this. So
Mm.
maybe it wasn't aliens, but a bunch of, I don't know, swamp creatures doing some sort of synchronized reed flattening dance?
Exactly. It's a possibility, and it's a reminder that we still have so much to learn about the natural world.
I love that. Nature is full of surprises.
Yeah.
Are there any other natural theories that researchers have considered?
Yeah, our source also talks about geological factors, things like subsidence or erosion, the ground sinking, the soil wearing away, that kind of thing. Those processes can have a big impact on the landscape.
So it's possible that the Tully Saucer Nest wasn't created by aliens or animals, but by the Earth itself,
Yeah.
constantly changing and shifting. That's pretty amazing.
It is. It makes you realize how dynamic our planet really is.
What I find really interesting about the Tully Saucer Nest is that it's not just about finding an answer. It's about embracing the mystery. It's about acknowledging that there are things in this world that we might never fully understand.
And that's okay. Sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. And in this case, the journey has taken us through all sorts of fascinating theories, scientific debates, and even reflections on the impact of the unknown on a small community. But you know what? There's one more thing we haven't talked about yet.
What's that?
The legacy of the Tully Saucer Nest. How is this event remembered today, all these years later? What impact has it had on our understanding of the unknown?
That's a great question. And it's one that leads us into the heart of what makes the Tully Saucer Nest so enduring. It's a story that goes beyond just a strange event in a swamp. It's a story that continues to capture our imaginations and make us wonder about what else might be out there. Welcome back, everyone. We're wrapping up our deep dive into the Tully Saucer Nest, and wow, what a ride it's been. We've gone from this crazy story about a farmer seeing a UFO to talking about scientific investigations and even how this whole thing affected the people living in Tully.
It's amazing how one event, especially something as strange as the Tully Saucer Nest, can have so many different effects.
I know, right? It's like
Yeah.
this event happened decades ago, but we're still talking about it today. It's like it just keeps rippling through time. So what does our source exploring the Tully Saucer Nest say about how this whole thing is remembered today?
Well, one of the most interesting things is that even with all the research and theories, the Tully Saucer Nest is still a mystery, and I think that's part of what makes it so fascinating.
Yeah, totally. It's like this puzzle that we just can't solve, and it keeps drawing us back in, trying to figure out what happened.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? There's still so much that we don't know about the world, so much that we can't explain.
It's a good reminder to stay open-minded and, not dismiss things just because they seem strange or unbelievable.
Hmm.
But it's not just about the mystery itself, is it? I mean, we talked about how the Tully Saucer Nest practically became part of Tully's identity.
Yeah, it's a part of their history, their stories, even their tourist attractions. People still go there, to see the place where it happened.
It's like they're going on a pilgrimage.
Yeah,
To see this spot where something unexplained happened, it just goes to show that these events, even if they seem really weird or isolated, they can leave a mark on a place and on the people who live there.
definitely. And it's not just the people in Tully. The Tully Saucer Nest, it captured people's imaginations all over the world. I mean, there have been books written about it, documentaries, even movies.
Yeah. This little town in Australia, it became this symbol of everything we don't know about the universe, all because of this one event.
It's crazy when you think about it, isn't it?
It is. So we've talked about the discovery, the investigations, all those different theories, the impact on the community, and even the legacy of the Tully Saucer Nest. But after all that, we still don't have a definitive answer.
That's true. We don't. But sometimes, it's not about finding the answer, it's about the search. And in this case, the search has been pretty amazing.
I completely agree. We've gone down so many rabbit holes, considered so many possibilities. It's been a real journey.
It has. So, after learning all this, after diving deep into the Tully Saucer Nest, what do you think? What do you believe happened?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I'm not sure if I have an answer, honestly. But I think that's okay. The Tully Saucer Nest, it's a reminder that there's still so much out there that we don't understand. And that's pretty exciting, wouldn't you say?
I think so too. It keeps us curious, keeps us asking questions, keeps us looking up at the stars and wondering what else is out there. And who knows, maybe one day we'll figure out what really happened at the Tully Saucer Nest.
Maybe we will.
Hmm.
But until then, we'll just have to keep exploring, keep questioning, keep embracing all those mysteries that the universe throws our way. So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Tully Saucer Nest, everyone. It's been a blast.
It really has.
And until next time, stay curious.